Welcome everybody to the next episode number 117 of the Bald Avenger Show. I am Jason Cisneros, also known as the Bald Avenger, the purveyor of all things common sense, the tattooed guru, the king of the Misfit Nation, and a legend, Paul, in my own mind, okay? In my own mind. So this evening, guys, you guys are in for a treat. I have somebody that's on that's one of my favorite human beings, and we're going to talk a little bit about the immune system, some things that he and I have worked on. He's also my business partner, and this happened, by the way, for everybody, so you understand. I sold all my companies a while back, going on 10 months ago or whatever, and I was going to keep 3 of my businesses and then just basically go full-time into philanthropy and do, with certain ministries on the rescue of the underage, abducted underage girls and little boys being traded in the sex trade, a new dawn for domestic violence, obviously still CEO of Feed a Billion, and also, some other things that around veterans and PTSD, and also in the cancer world with Chemo Buddies for Life, which offers a bunch of support to people that have gotten that designation that they've got cancer, and her organization just pairs people up that have either been through it or been affected by it, and they want to help somebody that's going through it because it can tend to be a very lonely circumstance. So that was the trajectory of my life. And I'm going to reverse just a little bit to kind of set you up here, Paul, that about, I guess it's been now 5 years. I've been saying 3 years now for probably 6 years, but it's about 5 years ago, I went down to Peru and was fed some really great food, ended up getting really sick to a point where I didn't know what was going on. I came back, I went to see multiple doctors, and the best in the world, really. I just went doctor after doctor after doctor after doctor. And we didn't realize until I ended up actually with a naturopath doctor out in Beverly Hills that said, "Hey, Jason, I think you might have E. coli." And then we reversed it from there. She was a brilliant lady. Also, some of the antibiotics that I had taken had some side effects. I ended up with acute tendonitis in my shoulders. I couldn't lift. Nobody knew that this was going on, not even my closest people in my business or my life, because we tend to not want to add pressure on everybody else by saying, "Hey, by the way, I'm not feeling great." But it got to a place where when I would be on stage, I would leave stage, I would have to go lay down to rest. And, but after that, I started to be able to, the trip to becoming healthier and to nursing my way back to health. Well, along that path, as circumstances would have it, and thank God for Sean Hunt in my life, I was introduced to Paul Isom, who's here with us this evening. And he had this little out of the way sort of makeshift, I invent shit sort of a scenario, in the middle of nowhere. And I started taking and doing some of his treatments and therapies. Those of you that know me know that I do my best to be on the cutting edge of what's out there to optimize my own health. I was obviously trying to recover from something that hammered me for several years in a row. And, had I not been able to deal with it, it probably would have worn me down to the point where I would have passed away. But, as most of us are in the Misfit Nation, we're seekers. And even though traditional medicine, traditional wisdom sometimes tells us that, these types of things just happen as you age and so on and so forth, we know in our gut that usually it's a series of decisions. I don't care if it's your money, if it's your relationship, it's your personal joy or your health. There's usually a series of decisions that you make that are taking you downwards, but they're not instant, right? It's not like, oh, I had a whiskey tonight and all of a sudden I'm an alcoholic, or all of a sudden I've got liver failure, or whatever it is. It's over years that we make these decisions that put us in a bad place in one of those 4 areas. And so for me, what I wanted to do as far as coming back was, I knew inherently that I'd read on a chiropractor's wall somewhere randomly, Paul, you and I have had this conversation, that it said, "Foolish is the man or woman who thinks that they can get well, right? Or fix a problem that took them years to create. And in other words, I had to look at it like, yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, instantly. Fix something instantly that took years to.
Instantly. And that's the difference, right? That's the difference. People think about it in terms, I heard it put this way, that some things are like an aspirin and some things are like a vitamin. And vitamins over a longer period of time keep you healthier. They keep your environment. You're a real holistic type guy. I don't want to set the stage that you're a holistic, naturopath or something like that. It's far more than that, but your approach to all of this has been and is holistic, from your water intake to your rest to your joy to the supplements to frequencies to, you're really a 360-degree guy who is not a traditionally trained doctor. And you and I have had that conversation multiple times where you're really grateful that you didn't get that traditional training. There's great doctors, there's great medicine, there's great advances, there's surgeons, there's a lot of really great things out there, right?
There's a great place for them. Absolutely.
There's a great place for them. And right, I've always looked at it like, if I got sick, which I did, there was something a series of decisions or one decision that I was making in my life that ultimately put me in a position where my body just said, right? There's something wrong. And we have to reverse that, and we have to have that conversation. I got Liliana going to be coming on here in just a few minutes. But so I wanted to set the stage for everybody to let you know, no matter where you are, if you're at the tip top of your health and you're feeling energetic and you're happy and you're joyful and you got all the money that you want and you're in the greatest relationship of your life, fantastic, right? But at the end of the day, this is about, at a particular time in history, where we're going to talk about your immune system and how all of the different things that are impacting it right now. Because, as most of you have seen, I've taken the strategy that there's 99.9% of the rest of the world out there that is excellent at scaring the shit out of you, okay? They're excellent at giving you worst case scenarios. They're excellent at taking data that has wrong inputs and just manufacturing their own idea of where things are going or what they're going to do. I went back and I watched a series, a lot of stuff, Paul, on the different things that were supposed to wipe us out, right? H1N1, all along the way, right? The Ebola, all of these different things. And it's eerily similar how history repeats itself in how they scare us in these situations.
Yeah.
And it's always the same message and it's always the same people, except for this time you've got a couple of other elements in that, social media, an election, several other things that are involved in this scenario. Not to make this political, I'm not going to, but we're in that same scenario, and those other scenarios were much more, they actually affected and impacted and killed a ton more people than what we're seeing right now, right? Thank God. So I wanted to set the stage, because I want you, and I'm going to bring Liliana in here in just a minute, but I want you to just sort of tell us, and by the way, who you're about to listen to, maybe he's not a trained doctor, but he is a plasma biophysicist, a Chinese herbologist, the list of things that this man has done in his career, and how he's come about it. He's one of the smartest human beings that I've ever known. He's one of the smartest human beings I've ever met. He's one of the smartest human beings. I know a lot of smart human beings, and those smart human beings will tell you that Paul's one of the smartest people that they've met. And so I don't want to put you too high on a pedestal, brother. But tonight, I really want you to focus in and kind of give us, and with all of that intelligence, he's going to give you some fairly simple approaches to making sure that your immune system is optimized. So I want to kind of turn it over to you, brother, because I'm so proud of you, and I'm so grateful for the fact that our paths crossed, and so grateful for my own health that you helped get me back to 100%. Now we're optimizing and taking it to another level. that I owe you a debt of gratitude and a debt of just so many things. So I'll open it up to you and just let you kind of start off wherever you'd like.
Okay. Thank you. That was a lot of nice things to say. The immune system isn't something we normally even think about, thank goodness. It's always going, it's always running. We have a number of different specialized cells that all have responsibilities to clean things up, always making sure that if a cell isn't doing something right, it goes in and hammers it. We have cells that are just struggling. We have another immune cell will come in and basically heal it. We've got healer cells, we have killer cells, we have all these different kinds of cells that do their job 24/7, whether we are paying attention or not, thank goodness. However, what I want to talk about are the things that we can do to optimize and make that even more effective. So, and these may sound ridiculously simple, and thank goodness it is, because every single human being can do the majority of the things that we're going to talk about. And that is going
without
to
spending any money, without having to do anything different, just these things.
And not spend any money in order to do what we're going to talk about. So one of my favorite human beings, one time we should get him on the show. His name's Wim Hof. He is a superhero. They have taken him in and they laid him down. They tested stuff. They gave him viruses. They gave him all types of plagues. And he was able to shut every one of them down because of number one. Step number one is control your breathing 2 times a day. And I'm going to oversimplify this because we normally don't think of our breath as an important thing. We just normally breathe all the time. If we get worried and you have an Apple Watch or something like that, it might have a little reminder, breathe or something like that, but you're really not paying attention to it. So I want to talk just a moment about what that means. And that is a couple of times a day. First time in the shower in the morning, right toward the end of your shower, crank it cold and try to focus on not the water being cold on you, but focus on your breathing. And that just simply means take about 6 seconds to breathe out, hold it for about 6 seconds, breathe in for 6 seconds, hold it for 6 seconds, and do that for as long as you can stand it, and then turn the water off, you're done. That's one time. Then do a controlled breathing thing again. Again, when I say controlled breathing, it just simply means extend the time of how long you're breathing in and how long you're breathing out to 6 seconds. And then take a 6-second break over here and a 6-second break over here. By doing that, you are consciously controlling your breath. And then by consequence, you're controlling your subconscious, which runs your immune system. And what it does is it supercharges oxygen. And now for the first time during those breathing treatments, you are in control of your immune system, and you're turbocharging it, and you're basically commanding it to go into overdrive. So the temperature of the water, nice and cold, helps, but it's the breathing, most importantly, that you're actually controlling your breaths. You're, for the first time in the morning and throughout the day, you're now controlling your wavelengths of your brain activity in order to be in control and to optimize and upsurge and upregulate your immune system.
So when you're talking about breathing, right? When you get hit with that cold water, the tendency is to go, right? To do that. And it's control under an artificially created tense situation, right?
Correct.
And it's controlling that breathing in 6 seconds, hold for 6 seconds, out for 6 seconds. Right?
Yep. And keep doing that. So, and for your first time, try it, because you'll be surprised how hard just doing that is. Your mind will wander and you'll forget because your breathing is so automatic. You don't ever think about controlling your breathing, but do it for a good 2 minutes without any healthy stress of cold water. But just try to do 2 minutes of controlled breathing. You'll realize, wow, I am not really good at this. And then when you,
because we become what they call shallow breathers.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
Because when we're stressed all the time, especially right now, like this is the role that I've decided to take on the internet. 99% of the world out there trying to scare the shit out of you. I'm like, look, that's not helping you. You know what I mean? Whether this is the world's worst pandemic, whether we fall down into a depression and we start having to eat zoo animals for food. Like, no matter what it is, being out of control and being fearful is going to put you at a disadvantage. And
Correct.
so we become these shallow breathers, and we don't get down into the diaphragm. And that 6 seconds, I believe, physiologically forces us to go back into a natural state of getting the oxygen in, controlling it, and keeping your mindset intact. Is that right?
Absolutely. And it does a number of things. I mean, your dopamine that is in charge of control happens. Your cortisol, which is your stress levels, automatically drop. And so all of these thoughts of all these worries and all these weird things that are going on causes us automatically to have shallow breathing. And so what we're doing is we're controlling that to be a nice and purposeful, timed event that we're controlling, even for a couple of minutes, and it realigns everything. Your immune system jumps to full attention and your brain balances. A lot of cool things happen just in 2 minutes.
I love that. All right. What's your next advice?
Next advice is drink a lot of good water. The best water out there, if you can't get ours or spring water or things of that nature, is to get distilled water and put natural mineral electrolytes in it to balance it. You need to have balanced water. Yep.
Yep.
And,
so I've got an alkaline water with electrolytes here.
Yep.
Right. And then I've got our minerals. And I'm
Yep.
saying tonight's also about what I do. Everybody asks me all the time how I have so much energy and I'm constantly going and constantly doing these things, right? And so these are, we'll talk about how you get your hands on this stuff. It's been a very limited, only 2-hour clinic sort of availability, and we're about ready to start releasing this out because it's so powerful, and some of the stuff that we work on and that Paul has created over his career are unbelievable. And the rest of the world doesn't know about it. It's been kind of narrowed in for a couple of slices of humanity, very high-end athletes, people that are at the end of life sort of scenario, and they're just basically trying, they're willing to try anything at that point because traditional everything has failed. And so it's been this very unique mixture of people that we've kept this narrow, or you've kept this narrowed down to, and until recently when we became partners. So, what's your second one? I don't want to interrupt.
No, so the water is very important. We don't drink enough water. We're mostly water. We're designed to be always taking in water and eliminating water just as part of the process. And so your immune system is very much dependent upon this exchange of water. Okay, so your cells are a salt water, call it island, and then freshwater island. You've got all this salt water in between, and another cell is another freshwater, and they wirelessly talk to each other. If that salt water isn't balanced the way it's supposed to be, those messages can't communicate like normal. So we very seldom drink enough water. When we do, it's usually soda pop. It's all this, it's polluted, poisonous water. And so we need to get away from those and just drink pure fresh water. Drink a little bit of water before you eat, and that will turbocharge how well you digest. And it just all throughout the day, just be drinking water, constantly turn that over. We just don't drink enough water. And most of the problems that we have, the headaches, the stress, low energy, are actually as a result of not enough water, not all these other things that we're getting. So
what's the proper amount of water that somebody should be drinking throughout the course of the day?
The average person, it's pretty close to about a gallon is how much. When you urinate, it should be clear or a very light color lemonade color. It shouldn't be yellow or orangish. That's a very big sign you're dehydrated. You're not drinking enough water.
Got it. And aside from eventually, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to get 100 requests for like, how do I get those minerals? But we'll wait, be patient. We're working on that. It's coming out very, very soon. But at the end of the day, what can they do right now to make sure that they've got some minerals in their water?
What do they do right now? Well, we've been so scared to stay away from salts, and salts are a combination of a yin yang mineral that's come together and neutralized. And I do agree that the regular table salt is a horrible combination of minerals, but sodium is very critical to our diet, and chloride, so it is as well. The problem is that the normal table salt is bleached. It's got aluminum to keep it from chalking and flaking and all these different things. So it's a poisonous form, and it actually scars your arteries taking it. But we are deficient of salts and electrolytes and minerals. We don't eat enough of the good enough foods where all of these minerals are available. So eat your greens especially, and you'll be able to get those. But Himalayan salts, Celtic salt, sea salts, all of these are great sources.
So in a size of bottle like this, right? These 4 of these basically make up a gallon, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what would I put, the pink Himalayan sea salt, what would I put in?
I don't know that I put it in there, because then now you're going to turn your water salty and it's going to be hard to drink it. But I would take that and almost think of it like a little capsule, a little tablet. Take a couple of Himalayan salt crystals, put it in your mouth, swig it down, drink a lot of water down so it dilutes in your stomach, and now you're going to have a balanced water. A lot of the bottled waters out there are horrible waters. They're not done well. They're loaded with just kind of filler kinds of minerals, and the plastics that they're in leach a lot of poisons too. So
which sucks, because when I'm home, right, I use our water, and when I'm on the road, I have to do this, and then add the minerals and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So I get it.
Yep.
All right. So what next?
Yep.
What's that? So drink water, breathe, drink water.
Get outside. Our bodies are meant to be outside. We need the sunlight to create the vitamin D. We need the sunlight the sun is irradiating the light all day long. Open up your windows, let that outside in. A lot of people, especially now as we're, in quarantine and all these different things, get your windows open, let that air, even at nighttime. They proved back with the Spanish flu that the single greatest thing that happened to help people cure themselves and boost their immune systems was being outside. They actually had a higher cure rate by having and putting those patients out in tents. They had a 40% increase in recovery by simply being outside. So it's the sunlight is important, but also that sunlight that was cured during the day, when you open up your windows at night, it still is more purified air coming through. So it really doesn't matter if it's day or night, just get some fresh air and breathe it deeply. It kind of goes back to our first principle, practice your breathing. And that leads into my next one is go on a walk. You've got to move your body. Our bodies are designed to move. When we stop moving, we slow down, that's when we start getting crippled. That's when we start having massive issues with our joints, everything else, when we stop moving our bodies. So move your body every single day in a big way, meaning all of your limbs, everything. So when you go on a walk, make sure you're moving, getting your arms moving. You should always be able to carry on a conversation or whistle a song or sing a song without struggling to breathe. If you are struggling to breathe, you're moving too quick. You want to stay at a nice, easy pace that you could be on a phone call and no one should be able to know that you're on a walk. That's how slow you're walking. And then as you're walking, practice our breathing techniques a couple of times during the walk. It's again a healthy stress that will challenge your breathing to make sure that you can do that 6-second interval, type of breathing. But
okay, so let's talk about both of those things in this day and age where people are being told, don't go outside, right? Don't go outside. I think it's the social distancing thing that they're talking about, and we obviously they're saying we don't want to get other people sick, and it's not what I've been told, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is that you've got these masks and it's mainly for people that have it not to breathe out and get it on surface. It's a touch thing, not a breathe thing. It's not airborne. It's getting stuff on your hands and then eating or doing whatever, right? And so when we're told, nobody is actually, I believe, I could be again wrong, but I don't believe anybody under penalty of law can't go outside their house and stand on their porch or go for a short walk, as long as they're not congregating in 3 to 10 group of people, right?
Yeah, and you know me on legal and law system issues. I've even read some of the most stringent rules of certain cities. Yes, you can go on walks, you can go on hikes, you can all these things, but they want that distance of 6 feet, just so that it's harder to transfer that virus, because the virus does not survive being out in the sunlight and being exposed to the temperatures and everything else. Especially the drier, the better. So get out. As you breathe, you're going to now breathe in irradiated, good, fresh air that's now going to kill it. When you drink all that water, it's going to kill it. So that in and of itself is going to assist your immune system, which is the real killers. That's the real thing that's going to solve all these things is our own immune system. And these, but they're also going to be knocking it out as a byproduct of just doing it is going to assist you.
Okay. Awesome.
Yep.
All right. What's next?
You brought up one of the other concerns everybody has. Oh, I'm out in the sun. I'm gonna, UV is going to give me, cancer and all this. That is probably the smallest percentage of likelihood. They've blown that so far out of proportion. We're actually more vitamin D deficient because we're not out in the sunlight. And there's proof and evidence to the opposite, that the people who are not out in the sun, the reason they're getting the cancers are actually because of all of the lathering, sunblocks and everything are actually the things causing the cancer, not the sun itself. Wow. Look at the people that are out in the sun all the time. They have the lowest cancer rates. So it doesn't make sense. Just get out in the sun, get your eyes to absorb. If you wear sunglasses all the time, take them off for about 10 minutes and let that energy into your eye. It creates the happy chemical serotonin and all of the dopamine, all the different biochemicals and everything that you need to do. You have a pharmacy of awesome medicines that will be released if you'll go out and walk and get some fresh air and look at the pretty colors and all that. It's all scientifically proven to build your immune system.
Well, based on what you just said, I went and did a little bit of research, right? And I want it because people, I'm getting hammered, brother, like online. And I'm getting hammered because I refuse, and now or ever, to be a part of the herd mentality. I'm not built that way. If everybody believes it, I go, something's off. You know what I mean? Like if everybody believes it, if everybody's falling for this mass hysteria, but on my page, I'm putting up stuff that is, these people, the stuff that everybody was hammering Trump on for, and again, not politically, but they're saying this stuff doesn't work. And then all of a sudden, 79 out of 80 people in France were reversed the breathing on that. You have 600 plus patients for this one guy, this one doctor in New York, right? Where they put together this combination of the Z-Pack and the hydrochlorine or whatever the hell it is, that type of thing. And 600 plus people reversed the issues. And so what I'm saying is, I'm not a doctor. Look, I know that because of big pharma, because of insurance companies, because of greedy politicians, they have taken, before this ever happened, they've been just basically ripping away from the healthcare system and making doctors and nurses and healthcare people work harder and harder and harder for less money. That's their issue. Okay. And then you expect, like, I went back to, I believe it was the swine flu scare, where they were saying a lot of the same stuff that they're saying now. And they're like, look, all of our hospitals are going to crash in 15 states and da-da-da-da. It never happened, right? And it was just a multitude higher than we're dealing with right now, and a multitude higher severity, an actual death rate, right? And so back then, and essentially what happened was they were supposed to, after that happened, put in place a surge, right? A surge strategy, where if something like this happened again, which it did with H1N1 was the next one, right? And then they had Zika and they had Ebola, and that, I don't know what the lineup of it was, but they stripped away that ability to be able to have a surge. And so now, and I'm talking to a lot of doctors and nurses from New York in the thick of it that are telling me we were already on the verge, right? We were already barely making it by. We were already overloaded, and all it took was a little bit of this thing. And they're saying most of it is people coming in because they're paranoid, taking up time of valuable resources. That's why you see all this stuff online and people like, they're just going, you don't have a fever, you don't blah, 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 like just go home, right? Because they're busy trying to find the people that are actually needing it. So my role is basically with my page, and the role that I've decided to take is to deal with the psychological aspect of what we're going through, because everybody has suddenly become a medical expert on Facebook, right? Everybody knows, and all they're doing is parroting what they're reading and or whatever they're hearing, rather than using critical thought and having a conversation like we're having tonight, and asking the question and asking and really voicing the idea that this doesn't make much sense to me. Like, let's talk it through. So really the only thing I can do, because I'm really more of an economics and an economy expert, and also a human nature expert. And so what I'm doing is I'm flooding my site. Misfit Nation is flooding Misfit Nation page. We're flooding the airways with positivity to say, yep, something's going on. Yep, it might get you. Yep, you might get sick. Yep, you might die. Because 1,000 people a day, right? And you say these kind of things and you go, 1,000 people a day, Paul, are dying from heart disease. 1,000 people a day. 1,000 people a day. Well, guess what, Jason? Heart disease can't spread out like this thing. Well, it's already spread. What if we were losing 1,000 people a day to this virus that shall not be named, right? What if we were losing 1,000 people a day, right? It already has spread. You've got obesity, you've got cancer, you've got all of these other things. And everybody's excuse keeps coming back to the idea that because it doesn't spread through the air, it's somehow less important that people are dying from a choice of lifestyle.
Yep.
Because a lot of this is, and then I'm going to get hammered by people, oh, Jason, cancer is not a choice of lifestyle. There's a lot of studies that say that it is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. And it's not a personal, nobody goes out and says, I want to get cancer, so I'm going to eat a lot of sugar. I'm not going to move very much. I'm going to drink a bunch of alcohol. Nobody does that, but that's the results of your individual decisions. Right. And heart disease and all of these other things and car crashes and all this other stuff, to where we don't stop our economy, which people, like I say, I've been talking about this for a long time, is if you take away money and you take away people's ability to earn and you take away the base of this economy, that leads to a whole, like I was saying last night, this disease, this many body count, a broken system, right, is you can't even see my hand of how many people will die from that, from us tanking the economy, right? And I don't care how pissed off people get at me, because it's true. And one of these days, I'm going to be right. Everybody else just wants to beat me up for how insensitive I am for the people that are dying from this virus, right? I'm not insensitive to it. But I also don't want to see a body count continue to rise. So I went on and I just did a little bit of research, and I want to get Liliana in here too in a minute. But anxiety, cortisol, you just said it earlier. Cortisol weakens your immune system for a good reason. During periods of intense stress, cortisol attempts to reduce inflammation by weakening some of the antibodies that can increase inflammation. It also turns on natural immunity, the ability to fight off problems immediately, and moves resources away from the specific immunities, the ability to prevent diseases your body knows how to control. But cortisol is only helpful in short bursts. When you experience prolonged stress, your body needs those T cells and white blood cells, and unfortunately, cortisol continues to suppress them, thus weakening your immune system over time. The result isn't just that you may get ill. you still need to be in contact with germs and bacteria for this to occur. The main problem is that once you get sick, your body will have a harder time recovering. It needs those cells to attack intruders. It is harder for your body to do that when your anxiety is squashing your immune system strength. Okay? I wanted to read that for all of the people that, because Paul, every day I'm getting people, Jason, you're a leader. You're out in front of people. You've got a show. You're on stages. You're talking to people. You need to take this more seriously. No, I don't. No, I don't. The rest of the world is taking it plenty of seriously. And I, on the other hand, am saying, nobody's telling you that all of this scare fucking tactics and everybody that goes on, do you know the body count could be 2 million? Oh, and then the next day they say, well, we've revised that down to 20,000, you know? And they go, well, it's because of social distancing. What happens when we release everybody back to each other again? What happens, Paul?
Mm-hmm. It's going to just fold again.
It's just going to go again. And in the meantime, we're not going to have any jobs to go back to, right? Or businesses to shut. So what else you got? What else? I wanted to read that because what you said about cortisol, that's so important.
Yeah, because, and that's everything I'm really talking about is taking control of what you can of your immune system and driving it higher. And when you can, create moments of healthy stress. There's a big difference in the two types of stresses that there are. There is distress, which leads to disease and death, and healthy stress, which creates growth and vitality. So as much as we can create a healthy stress, which is breathing the right way, drinking water, all these different things, full body movements, yoga, going on a walk, whatever, every single day, these kinds of things involve the entire body. The lymphatic system, which is let's call it the plumbing, all the bad stuff in your body eventually gets put in the lymphatic system. The lymphatic drainage takes it out, usually in the colon, sometimes the sweat glands or whatever, but there's no way to move your lymph. You have to move in order to move the lymph. So our heart's the muscle that moves our cardiovascular blood around. The lymph is positioned inside of muscles. So as we physically move our body and our muscles contract, then it's the heart, if you will, that moves that lymphatic stuff out of your body. If you're not moving, you're not getting the lymph out and your toxins don't get out of your body. So
10 minutes on a little rebounder trampoline.
Yep. Jump rope, do something just to get some movement going, walk, yoga, all these kinds of things that involve the full body is going to get that lymph moving so you can get the garbage out. Once the immune system's killed something, it's got to put it somewhere, and that's the lymph, and you got to get it out. So
and Dr. D would tell us, right? We're going to say Dr. D because he,
sure.
we'll keep him anonymous, right? But he also talks about cruciferous type vegetables, yep. Right? So radishes and onions and garlic and those types of things. Also, if you're moving the lymph and you've got some bacteria, viruses, or whatever it is, and then you're supplementing yourself, healthy food, water, breathing, all this stuff, and you're moving and you're jumping up and down. Now it's your body's working as a complete system.
Correct.
And you're not watching every negative thing that you can possibly watch on television. You're not prepared is enough. I tell people all the time, how many times do you have to turn on the television for them to announce every fucking person I know, in the world that has just caught a cold? Okay, I know it's not a cold. Beat me up. Tell me, hey, Jason, it's not the cold. It's da-da-da-da. It's overwhelming. Look, they're two separate things, right? This flu that's going around, right? That the flu that's going around, and this virus that's going around, and the healthcare system collapsing underneath of it are two different, very different issues caused by the same people that caused it and the people that are saying that they can fix it and that shutting down our economy is a way to do it, yep. Right? It is asinine that we would ask the person who broke into our house to please lock up on the way out. You know what I mean? Yep. So yes, Scotch is really good. Jason Lewis nailed my favorite coping mechanism.
Yep.
It's just
and cortisol is probably one of the most. It has its purpose. You know, when a lion's chasing you, or your car's on fire, or those kinds of things. It's a fantastic combination with dopamine to survive.
Or you're in an earthquake.
Yes. However, you need to dial that down, because too much cortisol all the time. Here's a little test. If you want to know if you're stressed, look at yourself naked in the mirror. If you've got fat, then you have cortisol stress. Cortisol hoards fat. It's stressing out. It's worried. It's going to hold on to fat. It's your most amazing source of fuel is fat. So it's going to hoard it. It's going to hang on to it. And so that's one of your surefire tests to see if you are stressing too much, if you're worried too much, if you have too much anxiety in your life, you have a higher fat content on your body. That's just
so how do we tell? Because it's easy to tell people to just don't worry, just don't stress. What are a couple of just really quick ways that people can actually reverse the trend of stressing? Because it's a habit, right? People get addicted to that cortisol.
Yep. It keeps coming back to these same things we talked about. Control your breathing, fresh air, fresh water, full body movements. And now you're in control. You're now adjusting the hormones in your body to go and cascade in the way, under control, the way you want. And now you're acting instead of being acted upon. If you're being acted upon, it's obvious. You watch TV, you get fearful, you get stressed, shallow breathing, cortisol. So you need to take control and act for yourself.
Got it. I love it. Now I'm going to bring in another one of our favorite human beings. Okay. And this is Liliana. How are you doing, darling?
I am doing amazing. And Paul, I am breathing. I am next to the ocean.
Getting some vitamin D, I see.
And I'm getting the vitamin D from the sun.
Good.
So yes, I'm listening to everything you're saying. And I have my water right here. So there you go.
Well,
I love listening to you, by the way.
He's amazing, right? He's amazing.
Yes.
And just so everybody knows, I told him, keep it simple, because we can go down into some wormholes about the creation of this virus, and we're going to go there in just a minute. But the reason why I wanted to have Liliana in here really quickly was because there's been something that I've been doing, and this is the questions that I get. And for the most part, I don't tell a whole lot of people, I don't promote things. I'm not like, nobody's ever heard me. I mean, I've been partners with Paul now for a while, and nobody's heard me come on and talk about our supplements and our clinic. I mean, I've done a couple of things from the clinic on the work that we do and the different things that we're working on. But for the most part, I don't come on and try to sell anything on what I do for my health. But I feel really driven and really called because of the day after day. I mean, if you talk to Emily, she'll tell you, I'm on the phone from the time I wake up until the time I go to bed with people asking me, what are you doing, Jason? Mostly it's financial. I got business owners calling me and what do you see? What's coming? And, and those type of things. But I also get the question of what am I doing? And one of the smartest things that I've come across and why I wanted to bring Liliana on here was because of a product that she brought into my life. And you guys can see here, I don't know if there's too much of a glare or not, but this is a product that is made specifically for me based on my DNA, okay? I'm not a hit or miss guy. I'm not a take every supplement that you can, because I know, because of wisdom from Paul and people like Liliana and all of my other friends that are health nuts, to say that most of the product that you buy on the marketplace has a bunch of filler in it, which offsets the positive of it. And at the best and at the worst, right, it's got fillers in it, and it actually makes you sicker because you're processing sawdust or, whatever it is. And so this company right here goes off of your specific DNA. There's 400 million permutations that are possible for what you need in your system to keep you healthy, okay? And I've been doing it for months, and I love this product. It's one of the best things that I've ever done for my health, and one of the biggest impacts because it's based on my DNA. right? Nobody else's. It's built based on mine. And then the products and Paul and is, we're all kind of combining. What you're seeing here is Liliana coming in with this product and Paul going, with some stuff I'll show you here in a little bit. Wait, we can make that better. And their company going, yes, we can. They spent $160 million on a machine to be able to build this for each and every individual. Okay. And we're working in concert with them on multiple levels. But at the base, you can go in and Liliana, where do they go to get some information on this?
Oh, I muted myself. They actually go onto your website.
You know what? I'll put a link in later.
Yeah, put the link in. But yeah, by the way, it's just logical, Jason, that we should be taking what our body needs, not something that someone tells us we need. Our body knows what we need, and that's what I love about this company, about this product. It's in the clinical doses to the microgram. We all break down and methylate differently, and our DNA is different, right? So we should be taking exactly what we need.
Right. And I love that. And that's the big story here, why I wanted to bring Liliana in. She's massively passionate about this. This product used to be too expensive for people to take. And some really great people came in and said, look, we want to really start increasing the health. And that's one of the big drivers behind Paul and behind Liliana and behind the owners, the founders of this company, is that everybody's driven to try to make this work for people that are at the lower end of the economy, or they may be in a rough spot or whatever it is, to make these types of things accessible, right? I mean, this is the least. I could tell you that I had one suitcase for my clothes and my suits and one suitcase for my supplements, right? I mean, that's how I used to travel. And now I've got this, and I've got Paul's stuff, and we got Dr. D's stuff, and that's it. That's all I do. And it's all customized to who Jason Cisneros is, right? And so I'll put a link in here later on. They did this. They brought the cost way down by turning it into a direct sales company, of which I've never been a part of any. And this one is basically the first one. I love the product for me. And I'm again just sharing the information for everybody out there. Do it, don't do it. I don't really give a shit. But
listen, it's boosting your immune system up. So you haven't been sick since you've been on it, right?
No, I mean, I at the end of the day, I wore myself down with Unstoppable, because I was there for a week promoting. Then I did the event, and then, blah, blah, blah. There's a natural crash that happens after some of that. But I've had that natural crash after other events that took me out for like 2 weeks, right? And between what you did and I went home, and I'm like a little kid when I go back home to Paul. I'm like, Paul, I don't feel so good. he's like,
take care of me, Paul.
Yeah, and he's like, okay, baby boy, let's put you over here. Let's throw that frequency on. Let's do this. Let's get let's get you some rehydrated. You just drank a little bit too much scotch, Jason.
Yeah, so, no, it's so true. And what's really cool too is about our DNA, test, is that we actually test the 18 heavy hitters of your scientific anti-aging panel. So we're actually testing your immune system gene, your fat genes, your free radicals, your blood pressure. We're really testing the most important things. And then we let you know if both parents gave it to you, if one parent, if neither parents. And then we give it to you, in the right way. So it's fascinating. It's considered nutrigenomics.
Nutrigenomics.
Nutrition and genetics.
I love it. Well, Liliana, anybody that's interested in this, they're going to get to know you. You have become a dear, dear friend of mine, and and you're so passionate about what you do, and you're going nonstop. I've never met somebody that works as hard as you do and is so passionate about changing the world for people and their health and whatnot. So, thank you so much for coming on tonight for a few minutes, and everybody's going to get.
I am honored to come on. Thank you so much. I'm really living my purpose, and I think everyone should know what their parents gave them health-wise. So thank you so much, Jason.
It's my pleasure.
And Paul.
Yep. All right, darling. We'll see you later. Bye. All right. So let me just, let's see here. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's wrap up the show this way, Paul. Okay, because I want everybody to know we just went over some of the basics, and what happened was, so everybody knows the next piece of what I'm going to be doing here. I don't know, whenever all of this nonsense started, it actually started before, when I came out of Unstoppable and I had just hammered my adrenals, and I'd hammered, I just drained myself because I gave everything I had, to make that thing go, and to make sure it was aligned, and to make sure that we served the audience at the highest level. And so one of the things that we started talking about, I said, Paul, if we were to sit down and we were to create the ultimate immune optimizer, what would we do, right? And that led into having a conversation about colloidal silvers. And then we had another conversation, again, we for purposes, a lot of different things, we call him Dr. D. We called Dr. D and we said, what about this? And that conversation that happened between the two of you was one of the most fascinating, intellectual knowledge. I felt like I was taking a shower with two minds just going at, if we had anything viral, if we had any bacteria, if we had it, here's what we would do, right? And we came up with this idea of a silver and a gold mixture, right? And I want to talk a little bit about it because, we made some, okay? We made some. And a lot of people are like, Jason, why are you walking around without a mask? Why are you walking out? Because number one, I'm not afraid. Number two, the next thing that people say is, Jason, why aren't, what if you get sick? You may not, you may be in good health, but what if you get somebody else sick, right? And so the idea is just to not have these things come up in your health at all, right? And so so that's kind of the greatest way to look at things. So optimizing your immune system, talk a little bit about, because there's a lot of people out there, and you and I are having this conversation, that do the colloidal silver, right? And they're getting shut down left and right because they're making claims that it cures this and it cures that and all this other stuff. And they're talking about their nanoparticulates and blah, 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 blah. Give us kind of a high level of why some of that stuff doesn't work, and why what basically what we put together here is a superior product.
Sure. I think first of all, people need to understand why silver does work in general.
Okay.
And that is because of the positive charge. So when I'm referring to killing something, or you don't like what you have, you want to change it, things that change things are positively charged. Okay. And that's what we need. When you have a good, healthy immune system, it's a negatively charged environment that keeps you healthy. But when you've got a bad guy that invades and you need to go after it, it's the positive charge that needs to happen. So you already mentioned earlier the sulfur-based, foods, the garlic and all those. Well, even in our cultures of what's going to kill a vampire is garlic, and what's going to kill a vampire is or wolf man is a silver bullet. Well, that's
what's going to kill your attractiveness.
Yeah.
Radish breath.
Yeah, those do have a long history of working. Okay, silver kills bad guys, garlic kills bad guys, but I'm talking about the biological nasties inside of us. So we're talking the bad fungus, the bad yeast, the bad molds, the bad bacteria, bad viruses, all of these kinds of things. And there are good viruses, surprisingly. Okay, there's goods in everything. But most of the time when we're talking about something, it's a bad version. And the bad version is needs a positive charge, and it's almost like it tases it, okay? So whether it's a strong amount of onion or garlic or whatever, again, it's going to have that positive charge. But when we're talking about an elemental mineral like silver, there are other products on the market that have been made because of the word silver, okay? And the worst of them are ionic silver products. The reason is because it's charged like silver on the outer electron shell, but the moment it enters your body, usually chloride will tie up with it, and it's no longer silver anymore. Now it's silver chloride. And so it has no charge, there's no value, there's no benefit, and the body now is trying to get rid of this weird compound, and it could be actually toxic to the nervous system. But a colloidal, or in other words, a particle of silver, if it's small enough that it can now get disseminated through your blood system and go everywhere, is going to be able to stay silver and stay tasing these biological bad guys as it comes in contact with them. So that's the most important thing to look for, is you need a true colloidal product. There's a lot of products out there that claim to be colloidal, but are actually ionic, or they'll misrepresent, and it'll be a partial amount of colloidal and mostly ionic. So it needs to be a particulate product that has completely particle-based silver products, okay? So that's the most important thing. Second most important is the smaller that can be, the better effect it's going to have on you, because of two reasons. Number one, it's going to get in the nooks and crannies, and it's going to find these spaces where these bad guys are hiding. But also, there's more surface area in small things than there is in one big ball, okay? So if I have a whole bunch of little balls, by the time you add up the circumference of that outer little ball, of a whole bunch of them, to one big ball, there's a lot more surface area. In other words, a lot more places of contact that positive charge can discharge. It can come in contact with something. So you need them very small, and you need it to be true silver. And lastly, there are a lot of nano, those are really small, a billionth of a meter is how a nanometer. So there are particulates out there, they call them nano silvers out there. The problem is how they're made. They're basically a semiconductor that is car wrecking these together. And look at what a car looks like after a wreck. Well, that's what these silver products look like. These nano products are fragments and car wrecks, and therefore they don't have a ton of mass. So in other words, there's not a lot of capacity for that discharge to happen. And so whereas ours are perfectly round spheres, they have a lot of mass, even though they're super, super, super small. So that's the biggest advantage there. Then you add the magic of gold to it. Gold is very healing. It's a very well-known product to increase oxygen levels. Again, that turbocharges your immune system. And gold makes more of what something already is. So when you team gold and silver together, you have an even more powerful silver. And it's like adding lots of batteries to that silver. And so the effect is just so much more tremendous. We've had much, much higher kill levels of our product at even less parts per million than other products that had several times more. And we just outperformed them. The kill rate and how fast the biological nasties died was significantly faster. So it's just more effective. That's really what it boils down to, is you want something to be safe, you want it to be natural, you want it to be effective, and that's what this does. And it builds kind of both sides. It has a good, strong positive charge to it, and it's got a good neutral that adds to that positive charge. But when it gets done, there's gold there that's medicinal gold's been used throughout the ages of healing. So
yeah, in so many different countries and so many different cultures, and there's a gap, right? I mean, you go from what used to work, and then you go into big pharma and what they tell you, and now what they do is they take all those things that used to work over the years and they make it bad, so that their stuff comes in, and yet we're getting sicker, we're dying of things. And not that all of it has been bad, but they had to make all of the good things bad so that their stuff can go in and make money and be in the marketplace. And so these are some things that are going on. And the combination of the ideas of building this not perfect product, but this powerful product, I just want to let everybody know we've done it. Okay, we've done it. We've built it. It's going to be called the OG series. Okay, and because I'm involved, right? Original Gangster. So we're going to call it the OG series, and we're going to have a product ready to go and to start being shipped. I've been taking it and been using it, and we're going to have that ready to go probably Tuesday morning, right, Paul? Yep. And so we've got a silver and a gold, everything that he just talked about. We just wanted to make sure that it was the best product that I would put in my body, that I would put in my kids' body, that I would tell my mom to take, that I would tell my best friends to take. And so we've got it. We're going to have our first 5,000 bottles ready to go by Tuesday. And then as fast as we can crank them out after that, we're going to be rolling them out. So stay tuned. I wanted you guys to meet Paul, because Paul is the genius behind all of this. I can take absolutely no credit whatsoever for the intellect and the intelligence and the science and the all of the good things that have gone into this, other than just being somebody that's like, all right, look, we're going through this thing. Whatever this is going to pass, and there's going to be another thing, right? Then there's going to be another thing. What can I always do to make sure myself, my loved ones, my kids, all of those people that are around me that I love the most are the most prepared naturally to be able to take whatever life throws at us and to be able to deal with it naturally, so that we can get through things like this. So that was a little bit of the introduction. We're going to be rolling out a lot more information because it's timely, it's necessary. It's something that, again, you guys all know that have been following me for years and years and years. There's been maybe 1, 2, or 3 times that I have promoted anything, and it's always something that I believe in and something that I'm doing myself or something that I created myself. And so there's going to be some more information out there. But I wanted you to have some real practical things. And for everybody that's been watching and throwing so much negative energy at me because I'm posting nothing but positive stuff, right? I'm posting these little holes of hope for people. You know, I went from, I'm just here to comfort people, to make them feel good. And then about 2 days ago, I just started getting pissed, Paul. I'm like, I got to go on the offense because nobody else is, right? Everybody else that comes up and even has a question of, why are we doing this, right? Whether, and then getting, and if we ask that question, we get hammered by people online that we're unfeeling. It's shaming, right? It's shaming people out of critical thought. And I just got pissed. I'm like, I'm not going to do that anymore, right? There will be a day when we get to the other side of this, when I'm going to be able to look back and I'm going to be proud of the position that I took. And there's going to be a lot of people that should be ashamed of themselves for the amount of fear that they can't wait to go to people's pages and go, did you know the death rate? Did you know this? You should be ashamed of yourself because you're going to kill an old person. You know, all of this stuff. You should be ashamed of yourself for spreading that kind of fear. And that's the virus, is the fear right now. And it weakens everybody's ability. It weakens everybody's ability to deal with the cancers that come into their life, the heart disease that comes into their life, the flu that comes into their life, this thing that shall not be named into their life, whatever it is. It takes your ability down. It takes your ability away to be able to think and look at this time as an opportunity for you to be able to increase your impact on the world, for you to be able to increase your business, for you to be able to come up with something in business that never existed before. Paul and I and Sean and Dr. D would not have come together around this product if it wasn't this time in the world. And I believe that no matter what comes, this product that we're about to put out is going to be one of the staple products that you're going to want to keep in your house at all times after this. Because viruses, and there's a lot of stuff that we're going to talk about, viruses cause a lot of damage that comes out. It starts as a virus and ends up as cancer, right? It starts as a virus and ends up as heart disease. It starts as a whole lot of things. And so this is why I wanted you to be here, brother. Do you have any parting wisdom for us about this situation, or just anything? I don't really care. Say
I think just to sum up, you know, the whole totalitarian picture of what we're talking about is little things, the momentum builds and they gain friends. And it doesn't matter what topic we're talking about, right? This occurs. And so when this blows out, when this issue that everybody's in lockdown for is over, well, guess what? The same problems we were dealing with are still there. The same things we have to worry about are still coming. And the solutions we're talking about is not just for right now. This is going to blow over and be done in however long. But the issues that we're dealing with are still real. Yeah. We're still going to have problems. We're still going to, there's things, and we've talked about this, there are things killing us way faster, more aggressively, and yet we're not really giving the attention to it. One of the scary statistics I found about this time frame we're in is that so far the average American's put on 5 pounds. How come? We're binge eating, worrying, cortisol ramming fat into our bodies, and that's way more, that's causing more of a problem, because one of the largest problems of American issues right now is overweight, being too fat anyway. So we have problems that are getting worse that we're not fixing. And so I think some of us, it's kind of a nice way to kind of take a vacation. If you think about it, it's almost like a way to, oh, my boss said I can't work. I'm staying home and some things are changing and I don't have to really think about the things I normally had to think about. Eventually that catches up and we need to deal with it. So the things we talked about are long time, always can be done, things to build our immune system, and the solutions like we're talking about are important to use, because there's always going to be a virus issue. There's always going to be a bacterial issue. Bacteria is now becoming so resistant against antibiotics that we have to be smarter in order to kill them. And there's just more and more things that we're just going to have to keep coming up with, because things just, keep marching down and they keep grabbing friends. And we're not addressing it here. They keep getting friends, and the problem just gets worse and worse and worse, just like we talked about. Cancer is the least of the concerns every time I talk to someone. That is not the issue. The issue is what brought it about and why does it keep, coming about. We knock that out and the cancer resolves itself. So it's the same thing in any topic that we're talking about. We got to worry about the little things. One of my favorite stories that got me through some hard times as I was younger was a story of a guy with the one leg that hopped all the way from coast to coast. And when he finally got to the other side, they said, was it the Rocky Mountains that were so hard? Or was it the desert? What was the hardest thing? He goes, oh man, that stuff was easy. It was the sand in my shoe. Wow. Or sometimes it was my lace that was too tight. It's the little things that just keep getting us to keep getting off track. Those are the little things we got to worry about. Same thing as in our bodies. And maybe some other times we start talking about from the micro side of all the magic that's going on in our bodies at the cellular, actually that leads up to this cellular level that we're made up of. We don't realize how amazing we are and how amazing our bodies can take care of things if we just work in harmony with it, instead of always trying to fight against it.
I love that. And so let me ask this question of one of the smartest guys I know. Am I on the right track to spend my time and to take the quiver, the arrows, and to take the bullets from everybody that keeps attacking me? Am I on the right track to make sure that I'm supporting my community by lifting spirits, by bringing about positive things? Am I doing the best that I can possibly do for them?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The mindset is so powerful. And as we always will manifest what we think about. Right. And so one of the things that I think is interesting, and I'm taking what you're saying to on the medical side, right? Placebo, the belief that something is going to work. Okay. It is the highest provable. Again, the FDA does a lot of weird stuff in getting drugs approved, and they misrepresent numbers like crazy. Just look at the recalls. Okay. But the highest, most successful thing they've ever tested is placebo. Placebo has a proven 30% effective rate, but its opposite is also just as dangerous. It's nocebo. not having belief in something.
Ooh.
And so there are these two things we've got to keep the nocebos out, and we've got to have a placebo to believe in. And those are the things that are going to carry us through. And so you can take some of the most effective drugs on the market out there, surprisingly, are a fraction of a percent to the most that I've researched are like 3% effective. But yet placebo's 30%, 10 times more effective than some of the most effective drugs.
Yep.
So you're right on for what you're doing. It's get rid of the nocebo effect out there and let's get some placebo going. Those are at least provable medicines.
Right. Well, I love that. Well, I'm glad you approve, because even if you wouldn't have, I'm going to keep doing it. but I appreciate you, man. And I appreciate, again, I just want to go back to gratitude for having you in my life, brother. And for the difference you've made for me. My eyes, like I've always believed that I was very open-minded and open to different ways of approaching things. And you've really taken that to a whole other level. One of the only people that I know that ever could have gotten me, I mean, it was a combination of you and my mom. Okay. I mean, you can't get all the credit here. It was my mom too, but one of the only guys that could have pulled me out of a retirement from the business side of things, because, and the only reason is because your heart is to serve, and you've proven that over the entire totality of your career has been to make sure that even if it meant giving the shirt off of your own back or your last dollar, to make sure that you were helping somebody that was facing dire circumstances, that's what you did. That was always your go-to, was to make sure that you gave and that you served, and that your mindset was, God will always take care of me if I'm taking care of other people. Mm-hmm. And that's really, ultimately, you're a brilliant man. You've come up with some amazing strategies and techniques, and all that stuff is great, but it's your spirit and who you are and how you serve that really brought us together to some of the stuff that people are going to see it rolling out for the next years to come. Tuesday is going to be our very first sort of example of that combination of efforts, and I can't wait to share more of you with the world and for people to get to know you better, because you're a good man and you're somebody that I admire.
Well, thank you. That's very gracious.
You betcha, brother. All right, man. You have a good evening.
You too.
Okay. Peace. All right, everybody. We're going to wrap this up. Let's see. We're going to wrap this up with just me saying, take care of yourself. Okay? When you see me posting the things that you see me posting, and your first inclination, and I know a lot of people of you that watch me live, we're kind of in lockstep as far as the way that we approach this. We don't agree on everything, but we do agree that for this particular time, my job is going to be and is going to remain to be being positive and finding the cracks in the crowd. I don't trust the government. Everybody, all of these experts that everybody's saying, I believe Fauci, I believe this person, I believe that person, they've been wrong almost 100% of the time. When you go back and look at any interpretation or any guesstimation that they've ever made, they have been wrong. And all of a sudden, we have decided as an entire planet to give our faith to a lot of the people that have caused this problem in the first place. Okay? And I'm not going to do it. Not only am I not going to do it, I'm going to fight against it, and I'm going to do shows like this, and I'm going to create products that make a difference. I'm going to make sure you business owners that are looking for money get every penny that's coming to you out of this situation where we shouldn't be having to have a stimulus in one of the greatest economies of all time. But guess what? If you're a business owner and you're looking for dough, we're going to help you find it. If you're somebody that you want to empower and optimize your immune system, we built a product for you, okay? I'm a problem solver, and I have been on every show that I've done during the CTFD, the Calm the Fuck Down series. Every single show that I've done, it has been to tell you to look for opportunities to serve and fill a gap in this marketplace. Did you not think that I was going to be doing the same thing? That's what I'm doing. I don't want to create. So I never in a million years wanted to get into the supplement business. I never in a million years thought I'd be doing some of the stuff that I'm doing and getting the money game and to help people make sure that business owners get the money that's out there looking for them, because it's a big, huge, complex bill that they didn't even read themselves. We're going to have that information for you. We're going to help you get money. We're going to help you get this product on the silver and gold. And we're gonna keep doing what we do. I'm gonna introduce you to this company called One U. I'm gonna make your own choices. Everybody asks me, Jason, what would you do? This is why I do this show. I am not telling any of you what to do. What I'm telling you is that being worried and running around the internet and jumping on everybody's page and telling them, hey guys, don't you know the death rate and you should stay home and you're going to kill old people and all this other kind of shit. It's just scare tactics. And those of you that are putting that words in are diminishing and putting yourself at risk by lowering your immune system ability to be able to fight the things that it needs to fight, because you're flooding yourself with cortisol. If all you did was say, I love you all day long, your immune system is going to be raging back. Right? And then you put a little bit of silver and a little bit of gold in there, right? You make sure you're taking a little bit of minerals or at least throwing some salt in your water. You're drinking enough. You're walking. You're getting out in the sun, right? You're getting out and walking in the sunshine when everybody's shaming you, right? And everybody's looking at each other out of the corner of the eye. You go, right? Like that. And everybody goes, oh my God, like what just happened? It's a cough, people, okay? And it's not an airborne disease. You know, it's a touch thing. You get it on your hands, and that's how the whole thing is spread. But at the end of the day, common sense is not common these days. Not very many people are out there telling the truth. Those influencers that were out there influencing you about how good they were at business and all that other kind of shit, they're in the same boat. They had 2 or 3 weeks worth of money in their bank account, and they can't pay the rent on their fake Maserati, and they can't pay the rent on their fake house that they were renting while they were doing the show, and all this other kind of stuff, right? They have disappeared. And the people that are emerging are Misfit Nation, real people giving real solutions so that you can get through this real crisis, not a fake crisis. It's a crisis of more stupidity and fear than it is an actual thing, but there's this actual thing, and it's out there, and everybody has signed off and bought off on the idea that this thing is way bigger than it really is. Okay, and I don't care who gets pissed off at me anymore. I don't give a shit. I'm on offense, and I don't care what you think. Okay, I'm gonna be solving problems, and how I do that is by lifting y'all up and telling you that no matter what happens, none of us are getting out of this life alive. How we go, you can't guess. You could do anything. You could do everything that you want to do. You don't know what's going to happen to you. You can take your best shot at inoculate. That's why I take this. I'm not running around going, oh, I'm immortal. I'm going to live forever. No, I'm taking precautions, you know, and I've been doing it for years, which is why I'm fit, which is why I took care of my money, which is why I have guns and money and water and all this other kind of stuff to be able to weather however long this goes. I don't need to be on here. I could bounce right now and never do another show and be just fine in this life. I'm doing this because I'm committed to you. I'm committed to Misfit Nation. I'm committed to what we all decided or said that we were going to do. That's why I'm here. That's why I get on this computer every single night when I could be dancing on a deck with my girl right now with the sound of the ocean in my ear. I could be drinking tequila. I could be smoking a cigar. I could be hanging with my buddies. I could be over on some island somewhere and disappeared. I'm a fucking warrior. And I'm going to stay a warrior, and I'm going to be a warrior, and I'm going to stay in this fight as long as I possibly can, because I'm not a fucking hypocrite. Okay? So that's what you're going to get from me. And if you don't like it, it's very easy. Don't watch. Okay? Don't buy the shit that we suggested tonight. Don't listen to anything that we said. Go out there and find all the negative statistics you can be so you can be the newest Facebook MD. I, myself, and my love, and my friends, and the people that I love most are going to have a great time in the face of adversity. We're going to love in the face of adversity. We're going to serve in the face of adversity. And we're going to do the best that we can to offer up solutions that are needed in a time of adversity. What you do is up to you. And I love you very much. Thanks for being here for another episode. Share away, or go away. Whatever you decide you want to do, whether you go away or you share away, I love you very, very much from the bottom of my heart. You guys have an amazing evening. Peace.